Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Singer Studio podcast. My name is Kristen, and once again, I will be your host. I cannot believe we are already on episode 5. I'm coming to you guys fresh off of a show closing. 10 days ago, I closed the musical Something Rotten, and let me tell you guys firsthand, people always say that there is post-show blues or post-show depression, and this show is no exception. I did play the soprano ingenue role of Portia. This show was so amazing for me in my experience just because I like playing ingenues who are funny and witty and aren't looking for a man to quote-unquote save the day. Yes, Portia falls in love with the male counterpart, Nigel, but neither of them need their relationship or love story to be complete. They just both shared a passion in writing and poetry, and that show, if you get a chance to see it, is very, very funny. But now, with that show being over, I am faced with what every actor faces when a show closes: the audition for the next show, project, or performance. Which is why I thought episode 5 should showcase my personal audition day routine. I broke it down into 10 steps. This is a YouTube exclusive podcast at this point in time, so if you're listening to this on YouTube, let me know your thoughts and parts of your audition day down below in the comment section. If you're not listening to this on YouTube, that means we have moved it to another podcast service. And welcome from YouTube. Either way, let's go ahead and get started. I've got my 10 steps outlined. I'm sure I'll break them down and discuss. And once again, let me know if there's anything you do similar, different, or if you have any suggestions to improve on this. This is just what I currently do. And in my experience, it does not matter how many shows I do. I've been doing theater for well over 18 years? No, 20 years. I have been doing theater for 20 years, and you would think, oh, she's not nervous to go into the room and audition. And let me tell you guys, listeners, I am. I am still just a little bit nervous. I don't know if it's maybe post-pandemic, or I just maybe don't know the team, or if something could go wrong, but I always, for some reason, have a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of audition nerves. So here are my 10 steps for what I do for my audition day routine. The first thing I do is I turn my phone on to Do Not Disturb. I do this because I'm already a ball of nerves. I don't want to procrastinate the other 9 steps of my routine by doom scrolling, looking and seeing if there's anybody else going to that audition on social media. That is the last thing I need to see when I am prepping my own audition. If I am going to use my phone during my audition routine, I will have it on Do Not Disturb, airplane mode, and I will usually use it to either listen to a podcast or relaxing music. But incoming messages, text, social media alerts, that can all wait until the audition is done. Because if you're anything like me, I take procrastination to a new level when I am nervous. So, phone on Do Not Disturb. The next thing I do is I prep my bag early because I am also that person that worries on the way to the audition. Did I pack the right shoes? Do I have a pencil? Do I have enough copies of my resume, my headshot? Is the cut of my audition song, put in the right order, in the binder, punched, whatever it is? Do I have everything I need in the bag? So for me, I actually like to prep it the night before. That way that is just one more thing checked off the list. Packing and prepping my bag early. Now, of course, I will fill my water bottle the day of, but I'll at least set those things by the bag. Now that I live in a house with my husband, I will actually clear off the dining room table and I will put my audition bag on the table and I will lay everything that's going into that bag, or I won't lie, sometimes bags. So I know for a fact that there's a place for everything. It's going in its right bags or containers and we are set to go. Speaking of water bottles, the third thing on my list is to hydrate and caffeinate. The morning of an audition, I will go and fill a big 30-ounce mason jar with water. Yes, I will be that person that will squeeze a couple wedges of lemon and maybe a few limes into that water. Get a nice jar of cold brew. I do make my own cold brew coffee here in the house. That way I am not tempted to go out, grab something. Now, if I am, auditioning maybe later in the afternoon, midday, I might put it in my schedule to pick up a Starbucks, but I will start the day with coffee at home and water. So getting up, hydrating, and caffeinating. Number 4 on my audition day routine is my print check. Do I have my music, resume, and headshot ready to go? And usually that goes up with number 2, prep my bag early, but I am very much a stereotypical millennial who is not the most skilled at operating my at-home printer. So if that's something I have put off and it's not on my kitchen or dining room table the night before, I at least make sure in number 4, do I have my resume, music, and headshot? Kristen, now that you are listening to this podcast recording, you need to go and update your resume and put your Something Rotten credit on your resume. Also, take off your college credits. Just take them off. Maybe that'll be a topic for a future podcast episode, like what you should have on your resume for beginners, intermediate, advanced. Maybe we'll have somebody on the podcast and we'll talk about it. If that's something you would like to hear, let me know. Number 5 is headspace prep. I believe in my heart of hearts that it is important to look your best in an audition, but it is also important to have your head in the right headspace. Episode 4 of this podcast was actually a meditation. So if you are preparing any auditions, I will link it up above in the cards if this is a YouTube listen, and down below, and our entire playlist of this podcast. But episode 4 really was audition day affirmations. It was a 10-minute affirmation video. You can just sit in a quiet place or lay on the floor, turn the world off, focus on what you're about to do and the performance you are about to give. It can be an audition affirmation or it could just be a performance affirmation, but the point is, get yourself in the right headspace. And whether you use our affirmations or you just put on some quiet music, I cannot tell you the difference that it makes as a performer to shut off the world, close your eyes, and focus solely on what you are about to do. In the show I mentioned I just finished, I had a fellow actor in the cast. Her name was Alexa. Alexa would come in early before our actor call. She would bring music, we would all sit on the stage, and she would lead us through stretches and mental preparation before the show. Now, yes, we would still do a mic check and a vocal warm-up, but to do a body and mind warm-up really made a difference. I know I mentioned post-pandemic performing, and we can talk about like imposter syndrome or fear of performing in auditions, because I'm sure a lot of performers and singers can relate to that. But Alexa taking that time out for us to do that was amazing. Did I always go the entire time? No, we had a situation where we had a lot of girls in our dressing room, so I would actually go in the dressing room and quickly do a few things that I needed more space to do. And then I would come out and I would do the last like 15 minutes of just breathing in and, stretching out my body, feeling where I'm holding tension. And she would ask very specific questions while we were closing our eyes and focusing on our own bodies and the space around us. She would ask us to mentally consider something we were looking forward to, something that a cast member did that we thought was really great, something we might be nervous about, and calming our minds. After mentally preparing, we move on to number 6, which of course is a vocal warm-up. And if you've been around this YouTube channel for 5 minutes, you know that we have hundreds of vocal warm-ups on this YouTube channel. If I'm being honest, I actually do use the vocal warm-ups we supply here. If I'm going in to do a legitimate soprano high voice audition, I am going to go choose one of the Coloratura advanced vocal warm-ups. If I'm doing something that requires a mix or a belt, I will go pull a belting warm-up or a musical theater full vocal warm-up video. I really do practice what I preach on this YouTube channel. I will sit at the piano, I will warm up my breath, I will do some scales, some runs, I will warm up high notes, low notes, and the cut of my song or songs. Point of this is I want to make sure that the first time I sing today is not when I am in that audition room. So, headspace prep, vocal warm-ups. Number 7, body warm-ups. Shoulder rolls, body awareness, light stretching, and I like to do this one when I am actually in the audition space, like if I'm in the waiting room or if I'm in the back of the theater waiting for my number to be called, because traveling to the audition can be a stressful thing for me as well. So taking a minute to just do some light stretches, and I do it usually in the privacy of the back of the theater, the holding room, and I don't make a big spectacle of it, but just making sure I am not carrying in any unnecessary tension into the audition room or the stage where I might be performing. Number 8 is happening before I actually go to the audition space, and that is an outfit check. Do I need additional clothes? Will there be a dance call? Do I need to pack more than one pair of shoes? What is the protocol? Every audition is different. I personally like to dress in a way that complements the character or characters I'm auditioning for. An example of this, when I auditioned for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, I wanted to be Miss Peretti, who was the adult moderator of the spelling bee. So I put my hair up in a bun. I wore a jacket with trousers and heels. I made myself kind of have a look of the character I was auditioning for, not to say, hey guys, cast me in this show, but to try to give a director or the casting team an idea of, could we work with this actress? Could this be somebody that we'd want to see again in a callback? So outfit check and making sure that you have what you need in terms of additional outfits and shoes. Number 9 on my audition day routine is leaving with plenty of time to spare. I am a master of underestimating time. If I go on Google Maps and it tells me that from my house to the theater is 20 minutes, I will give myself 20 minutes. I don't actually think to myself, what if there's traffic? What if there's an accident? What if I need to take a detour? So when it comes to audition days, I actually will double the amount of time, if not more. So if it does say it's a 20-minute drive to the theater, I will usually make sure I leave 45 minutes to an hour early. And again, if I do want to go pick up that second coffee, if I want to get to the theater and make sure I can stretch, sometimes if I'm doing a winter audition, I will wear different shoes to commute to the theater and then change my shoes and or outfit when I am actually at the space. Because the idea of putting on pantyhose and heels and walking into a theater that may not have been, plowed or salted is just not the way I would like to enter an audition space. And number 10 is checking in early and finding a quiet space in the waiting room, lobby, or the holding room. I auditioned a few years back for Disney's Mary Poppins, and I got myself in early simply because, number 1, it was a first come, first serve, and that really meant that you went in and you checked in. Found out later there were several girls in that audition. I was lucky enough to get in early, and I was still number 12 on just the females wanting to be seen for Mary Poppins and Mrs. Banks in that musical. But getting in early not only helps you with your stress level, but it also shows the moderators running the audition space that you're there early, you take this seriously, you did not want to show any disrespect. Now, I'm not saying if you go in late that you're being disrespectful, because I know things happen, but get in, check in early, and get yourself in the right headspace. You've worked hard enough. You've already done numbers 1 through 9 on your list. Get in, check in early, and have the best audition. You guys, those are my 10 steps on my audition day routine. Once again, let me know if you have anything that you want to add to the list down below. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, this is a YouTube exclusive podcast. So if there are any other episode topics you would like to see, let us know. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a huge thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Singer Studio Podcast. Break a leg, you guys.